Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. And I'll start with a couple of announcements, which is usually how I start. Remember, March Madness ends at the end of March. Just goes without saying, right? That's this week. So if you want to qualify to get some exciting free courses, you need to talk to us this week. And we have time to talk to you if you want to. So the selections for the free courses are long COVID research mini boot camp, vaccines mini course, cancer mini course, origin of COVID-19, the inside story of the whole, all the claims we've made about it in court, etc. Navigating today's healthcare system safely, and diet, lifestyle, and immunity. Get ready for cold and flu season, and mindset matters most boot camp. So if habit change is an issue for you. So if you're interested in that, let us know. The next free healthcare workers workshop is on April 17th, and it's a sample class of what you might do if you went into independent practice, some of the things that we might teach you, etc. It's free. Let me know if you want to sign up for that. And then don't forget our fabulous food products, which are excellent, easy to use, long shelf life. They're dried goods that can be reconstituted with water and made into pretty exciting dishes. So if you'd like a catalog, let us know. All right, so what I want to talk about today is omega-3 fatty acid supplements. Recently had, for some reason, a slew of inquiries about omega-3 fatty acid supplements for everything from cardiovascular disease and dementia to COVID-19. One person wrote to me and said that a kind of well-known doctor had decided that he was going to start taking some type of DHA or EPA supplement. He was kind of surprised about it. So anyway, there are many articles in the Health Briefs library about this. I've been writing about it for years, and the story of the omega-3 supplements, all of them, is similar to vitamin D. Useless almost all the time for all purposes and sometimes harmful. So again, lots of articles on both of these in the Health Briefs library. In the case of omega-3 fatty acids, however, there's a little bit of a twist to it because interest in omega-3 is so significant that the drug companies decided to capitalize on the craze and create pharmaceutical omega-3 products. And one of the good things about this is seeing what the results of their clinical trials are. So here goes the story. The first one that was submitted was, of course, approved. The FDA has been approving almost everything for years. But it was so useless, then the other companies were coming up with such useless results that they dropped their plan to compete. So here's the story. The first one that was approved was Vasipa, a prescription omega-3 product that was made by Amarin. It was originally approved to treat high blood triglycerides, and then subsequently it was approved for cardiovascular risk reduction in adults. It was shown in one study, the one that was used, to reduce the risk of cardiovascular death, fatal or non-fatal stroke, by 0.9%, and it increased the risk of bleeding events, atrial fibrillation, and peripheral edema. Great job, right? Vasipa was unanimously recommended for approval by the committee, subsequently approved. I mean, what's not to like about a drug that's almost useless for everyone and only harms a few, right? Vasipa was approved for adults taking the maximum tolerated dose of statins who had confirmed cardiovascular disease or diabetes and 2 or more additional risk factors for CVD. The risk factors could include age, smoking, hypertension, taking hypertension drugs, low HDL cholesterol, high C-reactive protein, BMI above 25, renal dysfunction, and retinopathy. So this means almost anybody can take the drug. Now, one of the reasons I point this out is we're talking about a drug that is useless for people who are really, really sick, okay? So can you imagine how useless it would be, and the risk-benefit ratio wouldn't work at all for somebody who's relatively healthy taking this type of a product, right? The lead investigator of the trial that produced the underwhelming results that led to approval said that his name was Deepak Bhatt. He said the approval of Vasipa was, quote, the most significant event in the field of cardiovascular prevention since the introduction of statins nearly 3 decades ago. Well, the outcomes of statins are remarkably like Vasipa, remarkably ineffective for almost everyone who takes them, reducing the risk of events and death by tiny little fractions of a percent for most people, particularly those who take the drugs for primary prevention. So I guess we needed something else, Vasipa, with the impact of statin drugs. Gosh, the FDA just never fails to disappoint, right? Bhatt sounded almost giddy when he praised the FDA for a, quote, very evidence-based, prescriber-friendly, and most important, patient-friendly label. The term evidence-based really is sort of subject to interpretation these days. But let me tell you why Bott was so enthusiastic. At the time of approval, he sat on advisory boards for Cardax, Cereno Scientific, Medscape Cardiology, Phase Bio, and Regado Biosciences, and he was getting research funding from Abbott, Affimmune, Amarin, Amgen, AstraZeneca, Bayer, Boehringer Ingelheim, Bristol Myers Squibb, Chiesi, CSL Behring, Asahi, Ethicon, Ferring Pharmaceuticals, and Forest Laboratories. 14 drug companies. Don't you wonder how this guy even has time to sleep, getting all this money from all these different places, right? Amarin reported Vascepa sales of over $614 million in 2020 in the US alone. Sales dipped a little bit in 2021 due to the pandemic. They went down to about $577.9 million, but by 2022, Amarin was marketing the product overseas and getting royalties on that. So very profitable, useless drug, like so many of them out there, right? So you can understand why some drug companies thought everybody's interested in omega-3 fatty acids, so we should develop one. Amarin got theirs approved, and they're making millions and millions of dollars. Okay, but they abandoned their efforts. So here's what happened with that. AstraZeneca closed the STRENGTH trial, which was testing the efficacy of Epanova, a fish oil-derived product containing mainly EPA and DHA. The reason that they closed the trial was because the data monitoring committee concluded that there was almost no likelihood of showing any benefit in the target population, people with high cholesterol and risk for cardiovascular disease. Most likely the drug would have been approved anyway because the FDA approves everything. So it's a remarkable acknowledgement of how useless this thing was that they didn't even bother to submit it. Sky Pharma also reported bad news about its own EPA DHA drug, which was made from krill oil, Capri, which was supposed to be a superior formulation that was absorbed better. That was their special twist. In the Trilogy 3 trial, the results were the same in the placebo and intervention group. So the company decided not to apply for approval to sell the product since it's shown to be useless. All right, so let's summarize where we are for the people that are inquiring about omega-3 fatty acids. Dozens of meta-analyses show that omega-3 supplements are useless, and in some studies, the risk of harm could not be ruled out. The one pharmaceutical omega-3 drug that's approved is virtually useless and harmful for some. 2 drug companies have abandoned attempts to bring a competitor omega-3 product to market because even though they're almost guaranteed approval, because the FDA approves everything, they can't justify the uselessness of these products. So this is another one like the vitamin D issue. Hopefully someday it'll go away. But as long as there are people who still recommend it, it's going to stick around for a while. But, you can make up your own mind. But I have just never found any research that when you cut through all of the garbage actually shows any benefit for these products. So hopefully that provides some guidance for you. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it. And I'll be back to you tomorrow with more news.